Sorry. Everybody ready? Good evening. Thank you. We have, tonight, there's a regular council meeting, but prior to that, we have statutory public meeting. And just for members of the public, there are three items on the statutory public meeting, three planning issues. Each one is dealt with in its own report, an own section of the meeting. It's quite a prescribed process, prescribed, I suppose, by the province that we have to go through. A lot of words, and you'll hear the same words 3 times if you're here for each of the separate issues. So when I do call for members of the public to come forward, it's for the issue that's on the table at that time. But each of the 3 issues, the public will have an opportunity to step forward and speak for or against the planning issue. So we'll get underway. I'll call the statutory public meeting municipality of Sioux to order at 5:31 p.m. and ask if there are any amendments to the agenda.
Mayor Lawrence, there are none.
Thank you. The motion that the agenda for the statutory public meeting of April 17th be approved as presented. Moved by Councillor Timpson, seconded by Councillor Cassidy. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And as we start the meeting, I'll note that Councillor Bone sent his regrets. He's unable to be here tonight. Declarations of pecuniary interest.
Mayor Lawrence, I have none.
Thank you. Application number 1. Zoning bylaw amendment application number Z01 2024 395 Sturgeon River Road. Applicants Mark and Caitlin Mosher. Introduction overview. The public meeting is being held pursuant to section 34 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, chapter P13 as amended. The purpose and effect of the zoning bylaw amendment application Z01 2024 is to permit a secondary dwelling unit on the subject property that exceeds the maximum size requirement in section 4.283 of the zoning bylaw. The manager of development services will confirm how notice was served to advertise the public meeting.
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, notice was circulated to internal staff and external bodies by email. Notice was advertised in the Sioux Bulletin and on the municipal website and social media, and sent by mail to various agencies and property owners within 120 meters of the subject property. Signs were also posted on the subject property.
Thank you. The manager of development services will provide a summary of the application.
Mayor Lawrence, an application for a zoning bylaw amendment was submitted by Mark Mosher and Caitlin Mosher for the subject property known locally as 395 Sturgeon River Road. There is an existing single detached dwelling unit on the subject property. The owners are proposing to build a new single detached dwelling on the subject land. The purpose of the zoning bylaw amendment application is to legalize the existing single detached dwelling as a secondary dwelling unit, which will allow for the construction of a proposed single detached dwelling unit within the same property. The existing single detached dwelling unit has a gross floor area of 73 square meters, which exceeds the maximum gross floor area of 56 square meters for a secondary dwelling unit within an accessory building. A site-specific zoning bylaw amendment is required to permit the secondary dwelling unit. Subject property is designated as rural residential in the official plan and is zoned as rural residential in the zoning bylaw. Subject property is serviced by private on-site water and sewage systems. The existing dwelling unit has a gross floor area of 73 square meters, and the proposed single detached dwelling unit has a gross floor area of 146 square meters. Surrounding land uses of the subject property include residential, commercial, and a gravel pit. Planning decisions within the municipality must be consistent with the provincial policy statement and conform with the official plan of the municipality. Subject property is located within the Drayton area, which is considered as rural lands in the context of the provincial policy statement. Residential uses are permitted on rural lands. The provincial policy statement directs that where municipal and or communal and water and sewer services are not available, private on-site water and sewage services may be used. The existing development and proposed development on the subject land will be serviced by private on-site water and sewage systems. The provincial policy statement promotes appropriate development that contributes to a range of housing options within the province of Ontario. Proposed zoning bylaw amendment will allow for the new single detached dwelling, which will contribute to rental housing stock within the municipality. The zoning bylaw amendment is in keeping with the provincial policy statement. Subject property is designated rural residential in the official plan. A secondary dwelling unit is a permitted use within the rural residential designation. Then the rural residential designation lot sizes and configuration should be large enough to accommodate private water and sewage systems on the site. Subject property is large enough and of good configuration to accommodate separate water and sewage systems for the existing and proposed development. The official plan states that as much as possible, land use conflicts should be avoided. Encroachment of residential development and major facilities on one another is discouraged. There is an existing gravel pit to the north of all rural residential properties on Sturgeon River Road. The existing and proposed development is significantly farther from the gravel pit, and there's a vegetative buffer between the property lines. The zoning bylaw amendment conforms with the official plan. The subject property is located within the rural residential zone of the zoning bylaw. An amendment to establish a site-specific zone to seek relief from section 4.2.8 of the zoning bylaw is required to permit the proposed secondary dwelling unit. Section 4.28 of the zoning bylaw states that the maximum gross floor area of a dwelling unit with an accessory building is 40% of the gross floor area of the primary dwelling unit up to a maximum of 56 square meters. The proposed dwelling unit is 73 square meters and the proposed single detached dwelling is 146 square meters. The proposed secondary dwelling unit is of appropriate size to be secondary unit, while the new dwelling unit will become the primary dwelling unit. The existing and proposed development conform to all other site and area provisions under the zoning bylaw. The proposed zoning bylaw amendment will establish a site-specific zone to allow a secondary dwelling unit with an accessory building that exceeds the maximum gross floor area. The amendment will pave the way for the construction of a new single detached dwelling unit on the subject property. It is staff's opinion that the application is consistent with the provincial policy statement and conforms with the official plan, and we are recommending that the proposed zoning bylaw amendment be passed.
Thank you. The Manager of Development Services will read out any correspondence received from government agencies and municipal staff.
Through Mayor Lawrence, no correspondence was received.
The Manager of Development Services will read out any correspondence received from members of the public.
Through Mayor Lawrence, no correspondence was received.
The applicant or a representative is invited to speak to the application. Is there a representative here or the applicant here? Do they wish to speak? Do you wish to speak?
No.
Thank you. Questions from members of council? Comments, questions, council? Councilor Timpson.
Just one question, are they is planning to stay as one lot? Yeah.
I can answer.
Okay, go ahead.
Through Mayor Lawrence, yeah, the intention at this time is to keep it as one lot.
Any further, council? Members of the public are invited to speak to the application. The public can ask questions of clarification or seek background information, speak in support of the application, or speak in opposition to the application. All questions will be directed through the chair. It is requested that only one question be asked at a time. Please identify yourself before you ask your question so that you can be properly recorded in the minutes of the meeting. Is there any members of the public who wish to speak? To or in opposition? For in opposition? I see none. Thank you. This concludes the public meeting regarding the zoning bylaw amendment application number Z01-2024. If any member of the public wishes to be notified of the decision of council in respect of the application, you must make a written request to the planning coordinator. Notice to appeal the decisions of council to the Ontario Land Tribunal must be filed with the planning coordinator no later than 20 days from the date the notice of decision is circulated. The notice to appeal shall be sent to the attention of the planning coordinator, and it must include the following information: the reasons for the appeal and the fee as prescribed under the Ontario Land Tribunal Act in the amount of $1,100 for each zoning bylaw amendment payable by certified check to the Minister of Finance, Province of Ontario. Zoning bylaw amendment. So now we have options. Walk me through this, CAO.
To you, Mayor Mullins, given that there were no comments or concerns from members of the public, and given staff's review of the applicable legislative framework and the recommendation to proceed, I would recommend that council proceed with option number one, which would be to receive the report and authorize the passing of the bylaw at the regular council meeting later this evening.
And I can assume that's the motion has been read then? Did you want to? All right.
Sorry, I'm happy to read it.
All right, I need a mover for the council receives the plan. That's correct. We're going to do this by motion. The council receives the planning report dated April 17, 2024, respecting zoning bylaw amendment number Z01 2024, and further, the council authorizes the passing of bylaw number 33-24, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 85-18, being a comprehensive zoning bylaw for the corporation of the municipality of Sioux as amended. Moved by Councilor Cassidy, seconded by Councilor Costco. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. So if I'll just pause for a moment, if anybody wishes to leave, you may leave. That will go to bylaw tonight. Thank you. You're always encouraged to stay. There's exciting things every. Staff report number 2, official plan amendment number OP01-2024, zoning bylaw amendment number Z04-2024, 5 and 7 Carbone Drive, Municipal Sioux Code. Applicant Nate Hochstedler on behalf of the Sioux Code Food Bank. This public meeting is being held pursuant to sections 17, 22, and 34 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, Chapter P13, as amended by Nate Hochstedler on behalf of the Sioux Food Bank for the subject lands located at 5 and 7 Carbone Drive. The subject lands are currently owned by the Corporation of the Municipality of Sioux, and the Sioux Food Bank is planning to purchase the subject lands. The purpose and effect of the official plan amendment application OPO 1-2024 is to permit a food bank use on the subject lands. A food bank use is not permitted within the residential designation in the official plan. The purpose and effect of the zoning bylaw amendment application Z024 is to rezone the subject lands from residential type 2 R2 zone to a site-specific zone to permit the use. A food bank use is not permitted in the R2 zone. A deeming bylaw is also required to deem the lots not to be in a plan of subdivision for the purpose of merging the two properties together. The manager of development services will confirm how notice was served to advertise the public meeting.
Mayor Lawrence, notice was circulated to internal and external bodies by email. Notice was advertised in the Sioux Bulletin and on the municipal website and social media, and sent by mail to various agencies and property owners within 120 meters of the subject property. Signs were also posted on the subject property.
The manager of development services will provide a summary of the application.
Official plan and zoning bylaw amendment application has been submitted by Nate Hochstedler on behalf of the Sioux Food Bank for the subject property municipally known of as 5 and 7 Carbone Drive. Subject lands are part of a subdivision. A separate deeming bylaw has been submitted to deem the lands as not part of the subdivision if this application is approved. The purpose of the application is to permit a food bank on the subject lands. A food bank is not a permitted use in the official plan and zoning bylaw of the municipality. In order to permit the food bank, an official plan amendment and a zoning bylaw amendment are required to establish a site-specific designation and zone. The subject lands are designated residential in the official plan and zone residential type 2 in the zoning bylaw. The subject lands are vacant and have an area of 0.15 hectares and a frontage of 34 meters on Carbone Drive. The proposed building for the food bank has a gross floor area of 256 square meters. Accessory uses within the building includes an office, kitchen, storage room, and a garage. The site sketch included in the application package shows that the site will have 2 entrances, 7 parking spaces, and 1 barrier-free parking space. All planning decisions within the municipality must be consistent with the provincial policy statement and must conform with the official plan of the municipality. The subject property is located within the urban settlement area. The provincial policy statement directs that settlement areas shall be the focus of growth and development in municipalities. A range of mix of uses that allow for efficient use of infrastructure is permitted in settlement areas. The proposed development is a permitted use. Oh, I guess, the proposed development is not currently permitted use, but will contribute to the growth and development in the urban Sioux Lookout area. The proposed official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment is consistent with the provincial policy statement. The official plan of the municipality adopts complete communities as a guiding principle for developing within the municipality. In planning for complete communities, the official plan directs that new development promote a mix of uses should be encouraged. The proposed development will contribute to mix of uses within the municipality. The subject lands are located in the urban Sioux Lookout settlement area. It is the intent of the official plan to focus growth and development to the urban Sioux Lookout settlement area. The official plan states that a wide range of uses will be permitted in the urban Sioux Lookout settlement area, subject to the applicable land use designation. The proposed food bank is not permitted within the residential designation. However, it is complementary use to the existing residential uses in the area. The proposed food bank is not out of character with the area and is not expected to become a large traffic generator. The residential designation allows for institutional uses that are similar to the proposed food bank in terms of land use impacts and built form. The subject lands are zoned as residential type 2 in the zoning bylaw of the municipality. A range of housing types are permitted in the R2 zone. The zoning bylaw of the municipality does not provide a definition or provisions for a food bank use. Sioux Lookout Food Bank is a charitable corporation as defined under Section 1 of the Non-for-Profit Corporations Act. The food bank operates within the municipality to provide residents with free access to food and other dietary needs. Some of the surrounding uses of the subject lands include low-income housing and group homes, which provide similar services to residents of Sioux Lookout. A site-specific rezoning is recommended for the subject lands to include food bank as another permitted use in addition to the permitted uses in the R2 zone. A definition of a food bank is recommended to be included in the site-specific zoning to state the following. Food banks means premises where stocks of food, hygiene items, and similar daily necessity items are received and are subsequently distributed to members of the community free of charge. Accessory uses such as storage and offices shall also be permitted. A food bank or institutional use is not specifically defined or permitted in the zoning bylaw. However, the proposed food bank use is not expected to have adverse impacts on the adjacent uses. The proposed official plan amendment will establish an exception under the residential designation, and zoning bylaw amendment will establish a site-specific zone to permit a food bank on the subject lands. Staff is of the opinion that the proposed site for the food bank is a strategic location that is close to potential users and one where there will be an overall benefit to the community. It is recommended that the official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment applications be approved and that the owners obtain approval of a deeming bylaw and site plan control at a later date.
The manager of development services will read out any correspondence received from government agencies and municipal staff.
Mayor Lawrence, we received correspondence from Henry Wall of the Kenora District Services Board. Dear Mr. O'Pare, the Kenora District Services Board is in strong support of the official plan amendment and the zoning bylaw amendment application being sought by the Sioux Food Bank to permit the development of a food bank at 5 and 7 Carbon Drive. As a neighbor in the subdivision, we believe that permitting the development of a food bank on the proposed lands will be an asset to the community and be an equalizer for many communities living in the community who struggle with food insecurities. The effects of the global COVID-19 pandemic are still felt across the district of Kenora, and in many communities, the effects are exacerbating the current levels of poverty, intensifying the housing crisis being faced by vulnerable families, seniors, and individuals. The community of Sioux is no exception. In 2019, it was estimated that the district of Kenora had the second highest child poverty rate of all Ontario federal election districts. Some 6,150 children were living in poverty at the time. Having the proposed food bank permitted and located in the proposed residential neighborhood will make the program more accessible to families and seniors who need the support.
The Manager of Development Services will read out any correspondence received from members of the public.
Mayor Lawrence, we received the following comments from Barb Molstad. I'm sending this email to express my objection to the OP plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment for the above mentioned properties, 5 and 7 Carbon Drive. The food bank is a vital part of today's society with low incomes, high expenses, high mortgage rates, and so forth. I do not oppose the food bank, just the proposed location. This subdivision was meant for housing. There are no sidewalks in this area. This could negatively impact the sale of other lots in the area. Higher traffic on already under-maintained streets. The location is not very centralized for its use. There are vacant lots in other areas and on Front Street, which is more central to the town, as well as some lots with empty old houses in downtown core would be more central. I thank you for giving me the opportunity to submit my objection. That's it.
The applicant or representative is invited to speak to the application. Is there the applicant or representative who wishes to speak to the application here tonight? Please step forward and come to the mic, state your name and.
Yeah, sure.
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, it's good to be here and to represent the food bank in their endeavors.
If you could just state your name and your
Lee Hosteller, I am the applicant for the application for this zoning amendment. Yeah.
Thank you.
The board of the food bank took considerable time to consider different locations and where to actually find a place to do a build for the food bank. We did look at properties on Front Street. None seemed to be available. We did make some contacts to owners of buildings and we were turned down for purchasing them. Others that didn't seem to fit the need, that were too large for what we needed. We also looked at some of the other vacant lots, and the place they chose it was essentially located to where the majority of our clients live. And so in that sense, it's a good location for that to happen. We made the decision to purchase 2 lots so that there would not be an impact on the streets. That way there's plenty of parking. No one needs to park on the roads coming and going from that location. The plans would be to build a building that would fit into look the same as the buildings that are there. It's not going to be a warehouse. It's not going to look like a warehouse. It's going to look like a resident. That's what it looks like. It's going to look like. It is like stated, there's going to be a garage door so that trucks and vehicles can be parked inside to unload so that people can come on site, can load, can back inside, doors closed, and unloading and loading can happen inside instead of outside. So they have given some considerable thought about all of that. And like I said, the location was chosen because of the proximity of the clients. Maybe just clarification. There's no plan of the food bank ever running a soup kitchen. That's not, we heard some of those questions came to us. We have no plans of ever doing that. This is to provide food for people to take to their homes and to then prepare the food there. That's not the intention ever to do that kind of thing. A lot of, right now, we're doing deliveries of the food hampers instead of people coming to us. We would anticipate, though, that in the future, once we have a location that's large enough to allow people to come to it to pick up a hamper, we would do that. Right now, we have 12 days of the month are used for distributing food. And so it's not every day of the month. It's scheduled. There's schedules. When people we'd anticipate when this actually happens, if this happens, that we'd have scheduled times. So people would have a window of, say, 15 minutes. This is your time to come pick up your hamper. So it wouldn't be like lots of people coming at one time. We have them spread out so that there wouldn't be an impact, like an adverse impact on the community in that sense. So those are just a few things. I'd be glad to answer some questions if council has any questions.
It's time for council. Yeah, the next item is questions from council. So council questions, comments. Councilor Kimson.
Yeah, I think like a comment/question. You know, part of the whole philosophy of social services is you work in yourself a good job. And we never do, but we aim for that. And I'm wondering if, you know, at some point when things are better and there's less need for food bank here, at such a facility, what plan do you have to convert it to use for delivery usage? Or do you have a plan? Have you thought of? Yeah, I think, personally, I think any building built today should be generic enough that it can be.
Mayor Lawrence, one of the reasons why there's a kitchen being included in this building is so that there could be, say, cooking classes or teaching for that kind of thing to happen. Quite honestly, we don't have long range goals. We're taking, I mean, that's a good question, Councilman Timpson. I like that. Gives us something to think about to how we would use it in the future if we'd ever hopefully work ourselves out of a job.
You answered my question on the kitchen, so that's good. Thank you. Any other questions? Councilor Pasco.
I would just like to say that what you guys are doing are fantastic, and we're glad that you're doing this. You know, the community really needs this, and to see such a large group of volunteers come forward. And the community has obviously supported you with you able to fundraise the money so quickly, you know, and you know, so it's really wonderful to see the work you guys are doing.
Councilor Van Green.
I was just gonna say also, quickly too, that, I mean, like I've had to use a food bank when I was in Ottawa living in. Because I moved to Ottawa and I'm getting laid off from my job and I didn't start school until the next month. And in between those 2 months, I had to use a food bank. So I literally had like $2 in my account. So I know what it feels like to use a food bank, and you know, I just say it sucks that, you know, we have to expand our food bank because that means that the problem is growing. I know that reading the recent food insecurity report, that it is growing in our region, because you understand the cost of transportation, the cost of foods are just going up. So I do commend all the work that you've been doing. You know, I've been on the ground, I've been on that spot too, and you know, I'm all in favor of this.
Anything further, council? So, Mr. Huckstead, I'll just ask you to step aside because I'm going to go to the public now and ask for, you might be called on to help answer a question. Members of the public are invited to speak to the application. The public can ask questions of clarification or seek background information. Speak in support of the application or speak in opposition to the application. All questions will be directed through the chair. It is requested that you only ask one question at a time. Please identify yourself before you ask your question so that you can be properly recorded in the minutes of the hearing. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak or in opposition to the application? Please step forward. State your name and off you go.
My name is Marie Luke and I live on Centennial Drive, which is close to the subdivision just behind me. I do at first want to congratulate the committee. They've done a fantastic job in their financing goal for the purchase of the property. I am not in favor of where it's going to be located. I have no qualms about the need. I recognize that there's a need in this community. However, locating the food bank in a residential subdivision doesn't seem to be an ideal location. It would be more acceptable to have it in a centrally located area. I've canvassed communities of Dryden, Kenora, Red Lake, Fort Francis, Atikokan, Ignace, and each community has a food bank in the downtown area. So my concerns are, of course, there's going to be an increase in traffic. I'm concerned about the safety of the children in the playground, which is just kitty corner from the properties. And of course, with the food bank, there's inevitably going to be more garbage generated. Concerns of people already trespassing private property. I've had terrible problems all summer. And there's no guarantee that this will not be that there won't be foot traffic entering the food bank and accessing through other areas. The people accessing the Boreal Trail green space from Carlbom Drive may feel it's not an unsafe area, that it to be an unsafe area, pardon me. And the likelihood of properties and existing homes being adversely affected in value could be a problem. There's a large sign at the entrance of Carlbom Drive indicating that the area is available for luxury homes. Prospective buyers always look at location, and it may deter the sales of the properties. The government is encouraging municipalities to promote housing when we're giving up 2 residential lots. It's evident that with the size of the proposed building, there's going to be more activity than just accepting food and distributing hampers. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Why don't you leave, have you provided, if you leave your comments with the,
I will.
okay.
Please.
thank you. Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak in opposition or for the proposal? Please step forward.
Hello, my name is Margaret Goodwin. I actually live just right around the corner from the proposed area. I have a great concern of taking residential spaces and using it for non-residential purposes. Over the last 4 years since I moved here, I've seen an increase in police activity from both departments, and my concern would be, would that food bank increase issues for my security and the security of the neighborhood? Does anyone know what kind of negative impacts could happen with food bank being there? It is a good thing to have a food bank. I'm not saying that. I just worry about the ramifications. I also worry about where this could potentially lead to. You open up the door for one exception, does it open up the door for more exceptions? I think that's yeah.
Thank you.
Other than the also the effect on the property value.
Thank you.
Yes.
Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak for or against? Yes, please step forward.
My name is George Hogarth. I didn't intend to make a comment on this. However, having listened to the various objections, I just wanted to, I don't think I have to remind council that this subdivision has been relatively vacant for, I'm not sure, 10 years at least. You all have the record for how long it's been vacant. I think that the concerns about extra traffic maybe talking about who's going to create that extra traffic on that particular street, 7th Avenue. It is a geared to income area, and the fact that there's going to be a food bank in that area is not going to change the makeup of that community, and it's not going to change the, in my opinion, it's not going to change the number of people who are trespassing and doing other things. I think that when people come to a food bank, they're looking for a box of food, and therefore they're not going to be heading through the various properties to get a box of food. They're going to go through the legitimate channels of going through on the street. So in my opinion, it's it would be nice if that area could be developed totally as a residential area. Council probably knows some of the problems with that the municipality has encountered over the years, because it's been many years since that area has been developed, and I'm not sure how many houses they're actually built on it. So I just think that I hear what some of the people are saying about concerns about traffic. I think council has to look at whether that is a serious concern or not. And that's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak for or in opposition to the application? No. So this concludes the public meeting regarding the official plan amendment number OP01 2024 and zoning bylaw amendment Z04 2024. If any member of the public wishes to be notified of the decision of council in respect of the application, you must make a written request to the planning coordinator. Notice to appeal the decisions of council to the Ontario Land Tribunal must be filed with the planning coordinator no later than 20 days from the date that the notice of decision is circulated. The notice of appeal shall be sent to the attention of the planning coordinator, and it must include the following information: the reasons for the appeal and the fee as prescribed under the Ontario Land Tribunal Act in the amount of $1,100, each for the official plan amendment and the zoning bylaw amendment, payable by certified check to the Minister of Finance, Province of Ontario. Diego, do you want to walk me through the options here?
Everyone, so pardon me. So there are two options. Option one is if there are absolutely no opposing comments. Option two would be if there are opposing comments that haven't otherwise been addressed to council's satisfaction at this meeting. If council feels that objections that were raised this evening have been adequately addressed, you may proceed with option one, which would be to approve it. Or if you feel the objections haven't been adequately addressed and council would benefit from a supplementary staff report, then you would choose option two.
And how do I determine whether council feels am I doing a straw poll? A straw poll. So you've heard the CAO. Council, do you feel we can go to option one? Have the concerns been addressed, or do you want to defer this and get further report from staff and it comes back to a subsequent? It would be the next council meeting.
Likely.
Straw poll. So are we going to go to option one? That's the council receives the planning report dated April 17th, 2024, respecting official plan amendment number OP01 2024 and zoning bylaw amendment number Z04 2024, and further, the council authorizes the adoption of the official plan amendment number OP01 2024 by the passing of bylaw number 3624 and authorizes the passing of bylaw number 3424, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 8518, being a comprehensive zoning bylaw for the corporation of the municipality of Sioux as amended. Need a mover? Councilor Van Brito, seconded by Councilor Beglo. And before I call the vote, I would just say for those in favor, for those in opposition, your concerns have been heard, and I know the developer The food bank has heard them, as has council. I would say too that in terms of the policing calls to that neighborhood, there's certain things that that council through CAO, myself, the police services board, and various landlords are working on those. Some of them are quite complex and will take some time, but we are addressing the high volume of policing calls to some addresses in there, which is a separate issue from the food bank, but in the same neighborhood. But your concerns have been heard and understood, and I think council has considered them. So I will call the vote. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. I will now pause before we go on to the next application to allow people to leave if they would like to. Always keeping in mind that every issue is. All right. Application number 3. Zoning bylaw amendment number Z05 2024 60 Desson Road, applicant Scott Dell. This public meeting is being held pursuant to section 34 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, chapter P13 as amended. Owners have applied for a consent application 0B02 2024 to create one new lot on the subject lands. The consent application was heard by the Committee of Adjustment on April 2nd, 2024. A condition of provisional consent has been included to require that the new lot complies to the zoning bylaw. The purpose and effect of the zoning bylaw amendment application Z05 2024 is to rezone a portion of the subject lands, the proposed new lot, from the residential shoreline RS zone to the rural residential RR zone. Following the proposed consent, this portion of the subject lands would no longer have lot frontage on the shoreline, and therefore the RR zone is appropriate for the new lot. An amendment is also required to permit the proposed lot with a lot frontage of 20 meters on Desson Road. Section 5.5.2 of the zoning bylaw requires a minimum lot frontage of 40 meters for properties in the RR zone. The manager of development services will confirm how notice was served to advertise the public meeting.
Mayor Lawrence, notice was circulated to internal and external bodies by email. Notice was advertised in the Sioux Bulletin and on the municipal website and social media, and sent by mail to various agencies and property owners within 120 meters of the subject property. Signs were also posted at the subject property.
Thank you. The manager of development services will provide a summary of the application.
Mayor Lawrence, a zoning bylaw amendment application has been submitted by Scott Dell for the subject lands known locally as 60 Desson Road to rezone a portion of the lands from residential shoreline to rural residential. A zoning bylaw amendment was required as a condition of a provisional consent to rezone the new lot that was created because the new lot no longer has frontage on a lake. The proposed new lot is to be rezoned to a site-specific zone, rural residential, exception 5, to also permit a reduced lot frontage within the RR zone. The Committee of Adjustment provisionally approved the creation of a new lot on 60 Desson Road at the April 2nd, 2024 committee meeting. The new lot is the subject of the zoning bylaw amendment. The severed land has an area of 1.32 hectares and a frontage of 20 meters on Desson Road. Following the severance, the severed land is no longer located on a shoreline, and therefore the existing RS zone is no longer appropriate. The applicant is proposing to construct a single detached dwelling on the severed land. All planning decisions within the municipality must be consistent with the provincial policy statement and must conform with the official plan of the municipality. The subject property is located within the Drayton area, which is considered rural lands in the provincial policy statement. Residential uses are permitted on rural lands. The provincial policy statement directs that private on-site sewage and water systems may be used to service development where municipal and or communal sewage and water services are not available. The proposed development on the subject land will be serviced by a private on-site sewage and water system. The zoning bylaw amendment is consistent with the provincial policy statement. Severed land is located within the Drayton area and is designated as residential shoreline. The residential shoreline designation is characterized by single-tier development that consists of detached dwellings and existing backlot development. The proposed single detached dwelling on the subject land will be considered permitted use in the RS designation on a lot that was created through the consent process. The proposed zoning bylaw amendment conforms to the official plan. The severed land is currently zoned RS, residential shoreline, and is proposed to be zoned RR-5 zone. The severed lot does not comply with the rural residential zone lot frontage requirement of 40 meters. The proposed lot frontage is 20 meters. The purpose of the minimum lot frontage in the zoning bylaw is to maintain minimum spacing between adjacent properties and provide sufficient access to the property. The severed land is located at the end of Desson Road, and the lot frontage of 20 meters still allows for sufficient land for a proposed driveway. The proposed development on the severed land is to meet the other requirements of the rural residential zone in the future. Following the Committee of Adjustments decision to permit the creation of a new lot on 60 Desson Road, the proposed zoning on my bylaw amendment to rezone the new lot from residential shoreline to residential RR-5 is consistent with the provincial policy statement and conforms with the official plan.
Thank you. The Manager of Development Services will read out any correspondence received from government agencies and municipal staff.
You, Mayor Lawrence, no correspondence was received.
The Manager of Development Services will read out any correspondence received from members of the public.
For you, Mayor Lawrence, no correspondence was received.
The applicant or representative is invited to speak to the application. Is the applicant or representative here, and do they wish to speak?
It's on here. Okay.
Questions from members of council? Seeing none. Questions from members of the public. Members of the public are invited to speak to the application. The public can ask questions of clarification or seek background information, speak in support of the application, or speak in opposition to the application. All questions will be directed through the chair. It is requested that only one question be asked at a time. Please identify yourself before you ask your question so that you can be properly recorded in the minutes of the hearing. Are there any members of the public present who wish to speak to the application or in opposition? I see none. This concludes this public meeting regarding zoning bylaw amendment application number Z05-2024. If any member of the public wishes to be notified of the decision of council in respect to the application, you must make a written request to the planning coordinator. Notice to appeal the decisions of council to the Ontario Land Tribunal must be filed with the planning coordinator no later than 20 days from the date the notice of decision is circulated. The notice to appeal shall be sent to the attention of the planning coordinator, and it must include the following information: the reasons for the appeal and the fee as prescribed under the Ontario Land Tribunal Act in the amount of $1,100 for each zoning bylaw amendment payable by certified check to the Minister of Finance, Province of Ontario. Celia, you can provide direction once again.
Mayor Lawrence, so there were no objections at the public statutory public meeting seating. So based on that, I would recommend council proceed with option one.
The motion is the council receives the planning report dated April 17, 2024, respecting zoning bylaw amendment number Z05-2024, and further, the council authorizes the passing of bylaw number 35-24, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 85-18, being a comprehensive zoning bylaw for the corporation of the municipality of Silicon as amended. Moved by Councilor Lego, seconded by Councilor Costco. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And bylaw number 41-24, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of Corporation of the Municipality of Silicon, April 17, 2024 statutory public meeting. Be read a first, second, and third time as passed. Moved by Councilor Cassidy, seconded by Councilor Timpson. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And that is adjournment of the statutory public meeting. Next, move on to the regular council meeting. Pause for a moment in case there is anybody who wishes to leave. All right. Thank you. I will call the regular meeting of council April 17th, 2024 to order at 6:20 PM. And ask for any amendments to the agenda.
To you, Mayor Lawrence, so arising from the statutory public meeting, the following items would be recommended to council for inclusion on the agenda this evening. The first would be the addition of item 7.7. That's zoning bylaw amendment number or application number Z01-2024 for 395 Street and River Road, the Motors application. As well as under section 10, related to that application would be the passing of bylaw number 33-24. The next item would be item 7.8, and that is respecting official plan amendment number OP01-2024 and zoning bylaw amendment number Z04-2024. That is respecting 5 and 7 Carl Bun Drive, the Sioux Food Bank applications. And under section 10 would include the addition of bylaws number 34-24 and 36-24. And finally, under section 7.9 would be zoning bylaw amendment application number Z05-2024 from Mr. Dell, respecting 60 Desson Road. And again, finally, under section 10, the addition of bylaw number 35-24 in association with that application. Those are all the amendments I have.
Thank you. A motion that the agenda for the regular council meeting of April 17, 2024 be approved as amended. Moved by Councilor Costco, seconded by Councilor Cassidy. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Declarations of pecuniary interest.
Few Mayor Lawrence, I have.
Thank you. And we have a motion to adopt the minutes of the March 25th, 2024, March 6th, 2024 special council meetings, and the March 20th, 2024 regular council meeting and statutory public meeting, and the February 21st, 2024 public hearing meeting to be approved as presented. Moved by Councilor Costco, seconded by Councilor Lego. Any discussion? Councilor Timpson.
Yeah, under the special meeting, I asked if there was provision for an emergency exit access to highway in the subdivision in the Hillcrest. The minutes note that Mr. Brinkman said there was no road, but I think he did indicate that there was a way out if necessary. There was an emergency way, and I think it should be recorded that there is no emergency way.
Yeah.
You remember, so there are essentially two primary points of entry to the property on Hillcrest Drive, and an egress route that could be used, I suppose, in the case of emergencies on First Avenue. But there are no, there's no way to access the Ariano bypass from the property because of the location of the provincially significant wetland.
Yeah, exactly. My point was, I think it should be amended that there is a way out, because which looks, they're stuck, if it's a forest fire and.
Oh, I see. Okay, certainly.
Just to have it in there, and we did this, I think we recall discussed that it wasn't the functional emergency.
This can be amended to indicate that. Thank you. Anything further, council? So do I need to modify as it's a
To you, Mayor Lawrence, given the nature of the revision, I think we could still approve minutes as presented. Staff has taken note, and we'll make that final change before we circulate them for signature.
thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Motion to receive the minutes of the February 6th, 2024 Committee of Adjustment meeting and the March 7th, 2024 Environment Committee meeting be received. Moved by Councilor Van Breda, seconded by Councilor Lego. Discussion. All in favor? Carried, thank you. And motion to receive minutes from outside agencies and boards that the February 29th, 2024 Kenora District Home for the Aged Board meeting minutes be received. Moved by Council Lego, seconded by Council Costco. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried, thank you. Determination of items requiring separate discussion. Item 7.1, downtown revitalization study update. Councilor Van Brito. Item 7.2, tourism diversification infrastructure enhancement study. Councilor Cassidy. 7.3, waste diversion options for the municipality of Sioux. 7.4, memorandum of understanding, municipality of Sioux and Independent First Nations Alliance. 7.5, boat launch parking permits and purchase options. Councilor Costco. 7.6, zoning bylaw amendment, removal of holding provision Hillcrest. And then we had the three, 7.7, 7.7, which is the zoning bylaw amendments for Sturgeon River Road. 7.8, the zoning bylaw amendment for 5 and 7 Carbone, and 7.9 for the Mr. Dell's application, sorry, the
60
decimal. Nobody? No, right? So we have adoption of the items not requiring separate discussion. According to my list, a motion to adopt item 7.3, item 7.4, item 7.6, item 7.7, item 7.8, item 7.9. Hope I got that right. Moved by Councilor Van Breda, seconded by Councilor Daigle. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And I'll pause for, sorry.
Yes, so, yeah.
Oh, we have delegations. And just as we move to delegations, thanks, Cyril. If there's anybody that wishes to leave after the adoption of those items, there's a pause here as we switch over to delegations. So please feel free to leave. Now we're going to have item, we have delegations. We have one delegation. And this is for the downtown revitalization updated design presentation. The presenters are coming on board. Aileen Zabriskie and Konstantina Dubris from HDFC Planning and Design.
Hi, everyone. Did you want us, is there an introduction from Jennifer, or are we just to start?
I will let Jennifer, our Economic Development Manager, introduce you.
We are very lucky to have Aileen and Konstantina from HDFC Planning and Design this evening to present to us their beautiful downtown revitalization plan, the updated drawings for Front Street as well as Centennial Park.
The table is yours, HDFC.
You can go ahead, ladies.
Okay. I guess we can just share the screen right away. I know your time is limited. We'll start with the overall street.
No, hold on. I apologize. I made bad choices. Here we go. Overall street. There we go.
We were doing shopping while we waited. So Jennifer had asked us to update this street, and in the midst of the project, we understood that some of it is being constructed, but we were asked to look at it from, creating like a feeling of more vibrancy and attracting people to the street and create a more human scale. We've done this in many places where we try to create a more pedestrian friendly environment, which typically ends up with having more people walking the street when you create a potentially friendlier environment. But understanding that you guys have already started constructing your streets. So we focused on, or started to construct the street to the east. So what we focused on, and I don't know if maybe it's worth zooming in a little bit, but so our focus was creating, one of the things that we've done in other areas, and we can show you a picture shortly of the city of Kenora before and after what we did there. But we added what we call curb extensions or bump outs. You can see those bulbous things. Now, those can be added even after you've constructed your sidewalks, as I know you have. Eileen and I studied the engineering drawings and the width provided, and we found that you could add street trees on the north side. The south side is too narrow, but you certainly have enough room to add them on the north side, which is lovely because that's the side that's getting the sun. And so it would create a really beautiful, like, human scale environment. And the bump outs or curb extensions allow us to shorten the crossing distance, which is really fabulous, obviously, for people like children and parents and people with accessibility issues. It creates a much shorter distance to be able to cross the street, and also really identifies for people where they should cross the street. And what we found in the city of Kenora is they had a lot of people jaywalking, and there was some real serious car accidents with people over the years. And once we solved some of those issues with creating crossings, that problem diminished. People were really drawn to cross where we had safe areas for them to do that. They, of course, have the flashing lights in addition. That is helpful as well, where the motorized vehicles could see that they need to slow down and keep an eye out for pedestrians. So we tried to, knowing that you guys had already designed this street, we wanted to bring in what we could without completely changing what the engineers and the contractors had already started. So these bump outs could be extended over pavement, just like a pin curb. There's methods that you can do that after the fact over the pavement. It's not too late also to have trees. In Kenora, we created in the amenity strip, that area that's back a curb. We actually have structural soil running along there to provide really good nutrients for the trees. So that this is the proposal we put forward as a way to update it. And I thought it may be helpful for you guys to see Kenora, the before and after, to see the change. So this is Kenora before, and at that time when we arrived, they had street trees, but the businesses weren't doing as well, and they felt that it was the trees blocking their signs. So they actually locked them off and killed them, essentially, because they can't grow after that. They just would, have little stumps forever. And it was actually a misguided perception, because there's a lot of research about economic development and tourism, and that if you can create a human scale, a place that is somewhere people want to go, then it will attract more people. And with more people and more vibrancy, of course, people feel safer. And so what happened, before you go there, sorry, what happened is over time, when we did this street, they actually have metrics where, and I don't have them with me, but they actually have metrics where they saw economic spinoffs, where they saw more and more people coming here, and there was economic spinoffs for these businesses. And Eileen will show you what it looks like today. You can see the vibrancy. There's people walking, there's cars, and there's a lot of interest to come here. And now the cottagers and visitors around these areas come to Main Street to shop, have coffee, and go into the little shops by improving it. Of course, here they also used the CIP. So at the same time, the businesses were very excited about bringing beautiful trees and walkways and these curb extensions and bike racks to the area. So they started to improve their own businesses. So there was monies to put nice flower pots or awnings on their buildings. And of course, here we had, you know, heritage lighting go in, and there was a certain flavor that we provided here. And wouldn't you know it, after Main Street saw this, Second Street, which is at the terminus almost of Main Street, it runs perpendicular. The businesses on Second Street said, why not us? So that became, we don't have a picture here today, but that became the next project, you know, and we did the same thing. We created pedestrianized streets, we added trees, and then because the businesses began to understand that it wasn't that people couldn't see their sign that they weren't going here, it was because it was an unattractive place to go. And it didn't attract people. And, you know, it doesn't solve all issues around crime and vagrancy, but having more people around makes people feel safer and really attracts them to this place. And that kind of, you know, influx of people just improves the vibrancy of a place. So sure enough, we did Second Street, and wouldn't you know it, they study the economics, and the economics support their move to do that. So the investment they put in, the city, was fourfold, but was fourfold for the business community. So it seems to be, you know, something that you may, if you go back to the plan, thank you, Eileen, and I may have missed something, we're going to talk about the park in a moment, but in terms of Front Street, we didn't go full bore on this because we understood that you guys were in construction. And so we really kept it to things that we thought you could still add. And this is a vision, so it may not be something you accomplish tomorrow. In addition, we looked at bike lanes, and made sure that those had spatial presence on the plan for the update to your vision. And, you know, as we head westward, you know, it's important for it to link to the waterfront. Of course, it does narrow under the rail bridge. So we can't have a dedicated bike lane there, but we can get that far. And then the bikes would need to be part of the road. But it's important to create those bike and pedestrian links because really the waterfront, which I don't know if you guys know this, but we were the designers on the site design. You know, the linkage to that is so very important. And then I'm going to just keep talking and show you the park. There's a nice rendered image here that Eileen worked on, and similar to what we were saying about Front Street, and we understand from Jennifer's discussions with the community, people really feel that this is their main street and want to continue with that. So to bring even more interest to this to Front Street, that park does very little for you guys. And so what we wanted to do is envision something that is multifunctional, multi-generational, that will attract all sorts of people. And by doing that, you instantly make the place safer. So we really threw in a lot of things in this little park. We want this little park to do a lot of things for you. And so first of all, we have a widened sidewalks. We have a beautiful little tree grove in the one corner right at the pedestrian crossing where the washroom can go, the public washroom. We see this as a nice area that can have picnic benches and tree grove and maybe indigenous art and something such as that to animate it and become sort of the gateway to this train station development. Because there is a drop in elevation, we've reused the retaining walls and added some to create an upper plaza and lower plaza. So the tree area is sort of your upper plaza, which is at sidewalk level. And then you can see number 11, we come down on a slope pathway, because right now, if you walk along the sidewalk, it's way too steep for a wheelchair. So we've integrated this nice sloped walkway that allows people with accessibility issues to be able to get down there safely, or even a mom with a baby carriage. It doesn't go wheeling away on her. And then what we did is sort of this stepped landscape below. So that landscape, that lower plaza is at, say, the parking lot level. And we've infused it with lots of interesting stuff, but really we're using that change of grade around the perimeter, that green strip, to be like a seat wall. And it steps down, so you can either come down the slope pathway, or one could sit along that edge and catch some sun and look onto this really vibrant activity area. And what we planned for that was, first of all, number 10 is some play features. We picked for this, for fun, we picked sort of a nature themed play elements, so that you can have parents sitting there watching their kids and have a few play structures after they visited Front Street and had an ice cream that can come here and play. There's also a number 9 where we have this really nice gathering space with fire pit. You see those fire pits appearing now in public spaces all over the place. Banff is a great example. They have them on every corner. But even here, say in Winnipeg, we have them at different gardens and such. And so it's a beautiful gathering place, because we see that flat space to the left in the winter becoming a skating rink. And so this can be flooded and can be a skating rink, and you can have an outdoor fire pit, and it becomes a beautiful area at night in the winter. In the summer, number 8 is a spray feature, so water play for the kids. So it's a wet area and it's a bit of a bowl so that the water drains internally. The rest of that red, yellow, and white patterning is a mosaic. It's just our impression, but what we see that could be really exciting, similar to the Indigenous art, is hiring a local Indigenous artist to paint a beautiful mural and start to really talk about the culture of this area with the First Nations. In this flat area with the mosaic, we have like a basketball net, so people can play one-on-one basketball. And this becomes like a little hardscape play area. So you could see kids on little scooters, skateboards, whipping around here, and really trying to invite lots of activity. The other thing that can be done is when the sprayers can be turned off, and this could become an outdoor market area. So once a week, you could perhaps have a farmer's market set up, tents here, craft market, whatever you want. Like it could be, Kenora has it on Wednesdays, yours might be Saturdays, whatever makes sense for your residents and visitors. Those are the main pieces. Of course, we made sure there was enough parking for the train station. We think the train station over time would be lovely if we start to see things like an ice cream shop or a restaurant or things like that with cafe tables. It would be wonderful. It starts to have sort of like that retail and maybe offices on the second floor, but the main floor being more open for business. Yeah. And again, like the whole idea of this is to provide, you could see people of different generations coming and sitting here. You could see that the tables and chairs up at sidewalk level could be, backgammon tables, or, play where people can come and play cards, or, seniors could gather. You just start to see how this space could be multi-generational. And if you create a space that has a lot in it, rather than just a piece of grass, it's going to do way more for you guys and create a lot more vibrancy. And in turn, it will attract more business to this street, from our experience in working in other places. So that's a quick presentation. Did you want to add anything? And did I miss anything, Eileen?
I think you covered it. Other than the fact that we are maintaining your food truck hookups and your patio as it's existing. So, trying to integrate some of your existing features with the new elements as well.
All right, thank you. CIO, you want to just talk about about this presentation?
Certainly. So through Mayor Lawrence, the intent this evening is for council to receive the updated designs. And then to direct staff to use the public consultation to get some input from the public at large as to some of the really interesting and exciting concepts that our friends at HDCF have come up with. So essentially tonight, and then as council will recall, part of the rationale for this initiative was to help sort of provide some high level guidance, I suppose, or to show what may be complementary as part of the updated CIP, so that this would be appended to the CIP just as here's some ideas about the future for downtown. Again, I think it's important to recognize this evening that we're not looking for council's approval. We're not seeking applications for funding at this point or anything like that. Really, right now, it's just receive the drawings and let us go out and consult with the public on other to get a local flavor and perspective as well. And that's essentially what's before you this evening.
Very good. So, and that's what the item 7.1 on the agenda is about. So with that knowledge, let's not go into picking the paint color of the benches or whatever, but any comments or questions on what we've seen? Councilor Costco.
When this was developed, like, did you visit the community? Did you come here?
So our office had been to the community for the waterfront project as well as the original master plan for this area. This project we started in the middle of winter, so no, we didn't. We weren't able to come to the community, unfortunately. Jennifer was sort of our eyes on the ground, and she had done some engagement that she provided to us.
And so, to this point, there has been no public consultation whatsoever, so this is just a vision.
Just somewhere to start. It's usually good to have something to start with.
Yeah.
I believe Jennifer had done a survey and had done some engagement.
Anything further, council of HCTF? I see nothing at this time. So, Jennifer, any closing comments on the delegation?
3 of them aren't, I don't think so.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Eileen and Constantina, for that great presentation and for all of your work over the last few months. Just to clarify, HTFC did have the results from the economic development survey where we did ask some questions which is where some of the ideas came from for the Centennial Park design. They did do some updated discussions with some of our staff. So we consulted with Public Works and other staff internally. And I had also consulted with some of our business community and including a presentation with the Chamber of Commerce before the end of the year. Which is where we got some of the ideas that they worked from to come up with these designs. And yeah, that's it. So thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Thank you. And with that, we'll move right into item 7.1, which is a motion that council directs staff to seek public input on the updated design plans for Front Street in Centennial Park as presented by HDFC Planning and Design at the April 17th, 2024 regular council meeting. And further, the council accepts the conceptual designs as an addendum to the downtown revitalization plan to accompany the 2024 community improvement plan. Moved by Councilor Van Breda, seconded by Councilor Cassidy. Discussion. Councilor Van Breda.
No, yeah, I just want to say that these designs are really good. I think this is definitely the turning point for downtown Sioux. The only kind of issue is that, I want to do it right and do it. I mean, I want us to do it once and do it right the first time. So I know that we're talking about public consultation. So like 2 questions: what will the public consultation look like? And 2, I'd like to ask that this also be presented to the Truth and Reconciliation Committee maybe for them to have a few notes, because it's important that we get, again, everybody's public location, and because in the plans to talk about Indigenous artwork / a mosaic, and I just want to ensure that we are partnering with our Indigenous population here on the ground. I think the TRC would be a good start for that.
Yeah, do you want to direct the?
The ones, no, staff hears those recommendations, and with respect to consulting specifically with the TRC, we will look at that or look at opportunities to ensure TRC members are available for consultation. And I will defer to Jen with respect to, I'm not sure if our public consultation strategy is fully developed yet, but Jen may have some ideas.
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, I believe that we would like to host a couple of open houses where we can both discuss the new CIP and get input on the vision that's presented if we have permission to do so. And otherwise, I think it would be appropriate for council to make any suggestions for any type of public consultation they wish to see on this.
Good, Councillor Costello.
I agree with Councillor Van Breda. I sit on the TRC and we have some very strong, intelligent Indigenous voices on there. And I think that it's a great place to get input from, because right now the issues of Front Street are intergenerational trauma. And, you know, there's some, you know, big issues that we might not be equipped or knowledgeable about. And I think it's important that we have those Indigenous voices consulting. I don't want us to go in and do this beautiful park and where are the most people going? Right now, if you go to the park, they are in the park. So we don't want to just push people out. We want to have a plan that's thoughtful and respectful. And I think that in order to do that, we need the Indigenous voices. And I think that's a very important step, and we cannot miss that step.
Council, Trevor? Councillor Van Breda.
I have another question. My question is for the town itself. How to explain this? There's a town that I used to live in northeastern Ontario that recently redid their downtown. You know, looked really nice, but however, I don't think there was the public consultation, and that they bit off more than they could chew, and they were not able to keep it looking fresh, keep it looking nice. And now, almost 15 years after they've redid the downtown, in my opinion, it looks worse than before. So, like, I guess my question is, does the town have the capacity, the human resources, the staff, so let's say this came into like what we saw actually came out of it, would we be able to keep up with it, make sure the trees look nice, make sure the curbs look nice, making sure that everything's good so that doesn't degrade? So let's say 10 years from now, it has degraded and the fountain's not working anymore, and, you know, there's a whole bunch of curb stop issues, a whole bunch of issues with that. Are we able to make sure that this multi-generational project is going to last for generations? It's not just be 10 years from now, it's going to look worse than before.
So, Councillor Van Breda, just to be fair to staff, they don't know what the final project will look like yet, and I'm sure part of the project design and plan will include financial implications, etc. But I will let staff, I mean, I don't think you have to answer that in full detail, but I don't think the plan, the intention is to develop something that we can't handle. Staff.
Correct. Throughout the process of the public consultation process, we would be collecting the priorities in terms of what the community really likes the most about this implementation plan. And then when we moved towards the cost analysis, then we could determine from there whether or not we need to prioritize which elements we're able to either implement or maintain.
It's quite a ways down the road yet. There's quite a bit of work to be done before that. Councillor Cassidy.
Yeah, I thought it was a good presentation. I think there's a lot there. And I think a lot that needs to be digested by council and the community. And I think out of this plan, we need to, similar to what Jen said there, we need to make sure that what we're moving forward with, we can manage and handle without overwhelming staff or or our resources. So obviously, there's a lot of things to consider. I look at some of those bump outs, and I question some of the turning radiuses, especially for some of our emergency services vehicles and any other larger vehicles that need to go through town, and the implications. I know they're nice in Kenora, but a lot of that just kind of traffic flows right through town. So a lot of boats, trailers, a lot of things to consider. So I think it's good that we're going out to the public and encourage the public to come in. So.
Any further, council? Councillor Timpson.
I know a lot of people have commented on taking these kinds of plans to the fair in the Blueberry Festival. A lot of people said to me how much they learned when the town brings these plans there, and I think that would be an excellent place to take this.
And what am I saying? It's the trade show, right? When we have a booth at the trade show, is a good opportunity, I think.
Yeah, Mayor Lawrence, I believe our timelines for getting public input, we're hoping will be a little tighter than that.
Well, this is not far away, it's summer up there.
However, oftentimes we do also use the trade show to showcase recent decisions of council, and depending on how public consultation goes and depending on how council input goes, perhaps we'll have a finalized drawing to share at the Blueberry Festival. That may be a bit that might not be achievable, but in any event, there are different ways, and I will discuss with staff the preferred timelines and public consultation and the strategy around that. But we do appreciate the suggestion.
So council, we're ready to take the first step and approve this. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. 7.2 Tourism Diversification Infrastructure Enhancement Study. The council awards the contract for consulting services to undertake the Tourism Diversification Infrastructure Enhancement Study to Deloitte for $199,500 plus HST. And further, the council authorizes the passing of bylaw number 38-24, being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and the clerk to execute an agreement between the corporation of municipalities and Deloitte for the Tourism Diversification Infrastructure Enhancement Study. Moved by Councillor Cassidy, seconded by Councillor Van Breda, and start discussion with Councillor Cassidy.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to know, I noted in the market analysis under the key interviews, it just mentions talking to the mayor and senior municipal staff. I was wondering if we can add members of council to that list as well. That's all I had.
Yeah, that's great. My shoulders broadened that way. Council, anything further? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. 7.5 boat launch parking permits and purchase options. Pause for a moment. The council authorized bylaw number 39-24, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 28-05, being a bylaw respecting the use of municipal access points, to establish user fees for the use of municipal access points, and to authorize the mayor and the clerk to execute an agreement between Her Majesty the Queen and the right of from His Majesty the King. I would say
this is referring to a bylaw that was passed in 2005, so there's a whole
very good. In the right of Ontario, represented by the Minister of Natural Resources relating to the operation of access points, boat launches as amended. And further, the council authorizes and directs staff to make the following changes to boat launch parking permits. 1, the sale of the permits to be limited to the municipal office, recreation center, and municipal online platform. The permits be reduced from daily, weekly, and annually to daily and annually only. And 3, the surplus at the end of the year automatically be transferred into the boat launch reserve. And how shall I do the or now? Or that if council approves the transfer of $35,000 each year through taxation starting in 2025 to be placed in the boat launch reserve to support ongoing maintenance. Which motion am I asking staff to move and second?
You may want at this point, we can just consider it as one big motion. I think then through the conversation, we can go down, for an option to actually vote on.
We'll just move by. Put it on the table. Councilor Lego saying goodbye. I saw Councilor Timpson twitch a bit there. Thank you. And we'll start the discussion with Councilor Costco.
I find boat launches are quite an interesting topic. I think we've had some letters from the tourist outfitters that aren't exactly happy with what's happening with the boat launches. And if you look at the last two budgets, we've actually had a surplus with boat launches. So I don't think money is the issue here. Like in 2020, we did have surplus from the budget, and in 2023, when we had the actuals, I think 9 months actuals, we had spent all the money. So
Can we just ask for confirmation on that? Is that?
Yeah, City Mayor Lawrence, so in 2023, I do know that there were some significant expenditures occurred right at the end of the year because work was being done. So I don't believe there was surplus in 2023. And our treasurer has some other details. She can share.
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, there was an attachment with the report that showed from 2018 to 2023 what the actual numbers were. Obviously, the 2023 hasn't been finalized with the auditors yet, but that is currently with all the invoices that have come in. So
Surplus or a deficit?
So besides 2018 and 2019 that had a very small surplus, the rest of the years had a deficit.
yeah, I thought 2022 had surplus. So I think what's happening is the boat launches aren't being maintained to the standards that the tourist outfitters would like. And maybe the people to look out, but I would like us to take like a whole different approach to boat launches. I'd like us to actually turn them over to the tourist outfitters with a hospitality tax attached to the tourist outfitters, which would go to the tourist outfitters. It could come out of the budget. It would be a cost savings for us, and it would be paid for by the tourist accommodation tax, which would go directly to the tourist association, and then they could take over the boat launches. The money it's a pass-through tax. So the money comes from outside the community, it doesn't come from the community members. And since the tourist outfitters would have control of the money, hopefully they would buy into it this time. They didn't want to buy into it last time. And if it is, the revenue is coming from an outside source, maybe we don't need to charge the people of Sioux. So I think this would be a solution until we can get to that point. But I would like to see staff investigating us going to a model where the tourist outfitters are taking over the boat launches attached to a tourism accommodation tax.
Thank you. Councilor Lakeman.
Yeah, I would second that. I don't know how long we've been selling passes for, 25 years, I would say. Probably raised $750,000 over those years and spent double that. It doesn't seem to be working with the municipality. I think a fresh new look would be the way to go. I agree that we should be talking with the tourist or the new Sioux Lookout Hudson Tourism Association. It's just been reformed. I couldn't vote for raising a yearly pass to $150. That's just, I didn't vote for the $50. So, and also the $35,000 in taxation, I would not vote for. I think it's time that we look elsewhere. And again, I agree with Councilor Costco, but working with the tourist outfitters to see if they would be willing to accept that 4% accommodation tax and keeping 50% of it, and also taking over the selling of passes and keeping that money as well. So it would be something for our staff to reach out and see if they would be willing to sit down and negotiate something.
Councillor Cossey.
I mean, it wouldn't necessarily have to be a 4% tax like the other accommodation tax. It could be a 1.5% tax where they get 1% and we get 0.5. You know, we could work with the tourist outfitters to find a solution so it's not too cost prohibitive to their customers, but yet they're getting, you know, enough money to maintain and improve the boat launches to a standard that their customers want, and they could give them free boat passes to accommodate for the extra tax.
Councillor Leg.
I would also say that probably 4 of the 9 boat launches aren't really, well, they're there. So basically Botsford, which is across from the dump, is a semi kind of, is someone, I would say Butterfly Lake has a boat launch that we're supposed to take care of. West Hudson is another one. I would say have those just posted as not maintained and use that own risk. And the basic 5 boat launches that everyone uses is West Point Cove, Mile 5, Boat Bay, Deception, and Vermilion, Vermilion Lake, the first one by in Botham's Bay there. So those would be the 5 main ones that most people use. For the other 4, I think posting a sign.
Councillor Timpson.
I think we're jumping ahead here because we don't know what the tourist outfits are interested in this. It's the majority of people that use it are people from Sioux Lookout. And a lot of the boat launchers or the tourist outfitters, they are on the lake already and they don't need to travel to boat launch. But with that aside, I mean, it's certainly worth asking them. It's an interesting concept, but I don't know whether they'd be even interested because that's a big thing to take on, and the liability and so on, which would fall on the municipality. But anyway, in terms of this particular one, I think we do have to look at more user pay. But with 2023, we lost $8,000, and we took in 48,000 and spent 56. So that's $8,000. To me, tripling the cost of a boat launch pass from $7 to 25 is really overstepping, and 50 to 150 for a year is really overstepping what we need. I'd like to see maybe a hybrid, raise it a little bit, or do some more calculations to see just how much really would we needed to raise it by. In order to meet these expenses. So I can't support this at this particular time. I'd like to see a little bit more mathematics and more math here as to why we need 3 times.
Yeah. Mayor, so the figures that were developed are based on feedback that we've received from members of the public, from forest outfitters, from many different sources with respect to what the expectations are. So even if we are spending $55,000-$60,000 a year, that is not meeting the community's expectations for what these boat launches should be with respect to parking, with respect to signage, with respect to washroom facilities, with respect to many other types, with respect to the condition of the docks themselves. Many of them need replacement. Many of them need to be expanded because of the high volume of use. So in looking at what the demand is and trying to meet that demand, this is the type of revenue increase we would need to look at to try to reach that capacity. Now, having said that, if the council wishes to proceed to explore the idea with tourist outfitters with respect to ownership, not ownership, but operation of the launches, we may not need to increase fees that much this year if the idea is that we're going to hand this off, because even 1 year of revenues at that level isn't going to be able to achieve everything, the longer term capital needs and demands of the boat launches. So if the intention is to explore that option and not sort of begin looking at long-term planning for the ongoing municipal operation of the boat launches, then perhaps we don't have to increase fees to that extent this year. That would be my analysis on that, so far.
Councilman Brita.
I will admit that I'm a bit for myself. Also, be clear, I don't own a boat. So I know, like the boat launches work and everything, the process of working it. However, though, I am not really comfortable, telling people that they gotta pay 3 times now and they can only pay either for the day or for the year. I don't really feel comfortable doing that, just more nickel and diming the sort of people. However, I don't really also feel comfortable with the 35,000 taxation. However, that would be just the better one, if you had to pick one or the other, because I want to make sure that people's taxes are actually working for them. I do agree with Councilor Costco's point of view, even going through the map tax, say, can we that like maybe just use that reserve somewhere, because even though I will admit, like, I don't want to vote, I had seen that few of the boat launches, and some of them are in better condition than the others for sure. But I do think that we can come together and do some sort of agreement. Yes, I hope so. Or maybe I just live my own world.
Yeah, I was just gonna add that, $25 a day parking your car and putting your boat in, I mean, I think you're just gonna decrease the usage. It's simple supply and demand. People aren't going to do it. People aren't gonna go fishing as much as they want to with the price of gas, price of boat launch, price of bait, everything is going up. I just think it's counterproductive. I look at a little bit of tax increase versus a little bit of increase in the boat launch fee, but it's not 3 times, it's just not sustainable. We wouldn't make any money. I think we would end up the same.
Yeah, I think the other option, if the tourism association isn't interested, or the camps are, if they're interested in having some form of mat tax applied and the municipality collecting that for the boat launch maintenance. So that might reach our objective.
Councilor Cassidy.
A few thoughts. $25 is probably a fairly standard launch fee for a day across anywhere. Well, when you have not everyone would buy a boat either, but you buy a boat, you're not in it to save money. So it's one of those things that it costs money to own, to operate, insurance, fuel, everything. Like it's one of those things. From what I've seen, even a decade ago, Southern Ontario was no problem for $20 launch. It's what it costs. And when you have access to 9 launches for one pass per year, it is a very good deal. Now, I do agree that we should look at a bit of a tiered approach to our boat launches based on popularity and usage. That's a smart way to manage them, I think. We have our high usage boat launches, I think, that we know. And I think those are the ones that should be prioritized, obviously. And I think that should be explained to the public, or if we develop something, that should be something that is explained of how we are managing boat launches. So when people go out to Butterfly Lake, or is it West Vermilion, the one far end? Yeah, that they have to understand that it's tier 3 boat launch. Then, well, there's certain things you can expect there. If you're going to Deception, well, there's certain things you expect there too. It's about tampering expectations as well, I think. Because trying to maintain 9 boat launches to the standard of Deception is impractical, and it's probably $1,000 a year. So we have to manage those expectations. I also, the prospect of the tourism committee did come to my mind as well. If there is something where, if they are set up and there's a partnership with the town where they do some of the oversight, because, correct me if I'm wrong, is some of the expenditures staff time as well? accounted for. So a certain amount of the expenditures are staff time that's being allocated to the boat launches, not just contracting fees. So that gets removed if there's someone that can oversee directing the work, hiring contractors. A report comes back to council. We collect the fees for the boat launches, flow it to the committee. They hire the work, and that allows them. And then I think I would like to see from the municipal mat tax contribution, a set amount be funded on top of that. But then it also allows this committee, because they operate separately, they could potentially apply to the other mat tax committee as well to leverage funds, to keep costs down and increase the maintenance and the upkeep. So I think this year it might be, we might have to look at a small increase. I'm not at the jump that's proposed. I'm sorry, staff. I'm not there. But I think, you know, we have a new rec manager that has experiences in the tourism industry. So I'm hoping that if there is, I guess I'd like to see something that would potentially get us through this year, help not be in so much of a deficit, but still be reasonable. And then look at some other approaches long-term on what our options are. That's fair.
Is there any way for the rec department to find, instead of having the wage listed under the boat launches, to absorb that? Because currently it's sitting about 38,000. So by the time you make 40,000 in boat launch sales, you have $2,000 left. Considering that the rest, contracted services, insurance, and all the supplies are already taken out via taxation. If we could get rid of that wage and supplement it somehow elsewhere within the departments, then we could just keep all the money that we get from the boat launch pass sales, which is between $35,000 and $40,000 a year. So that's your 35,000 a year.
I didn't quite follow the smoke and mirrors. Councilor, yes.
I think the other reason, and I remember when I first started, I brought up that I was always confused. Why does the wages and benefits? It's just how it has to be allocated, I think, in the program. And it is tracked from what I understand as well, staff time and where they go. And that's allocated. So and that's where the tiered approach, I think, comes in, because if there's a complaint of something wrong, West Hudson, well, you have to send staff out. So they drive out, they're doing inspection, come back. Well, that's a half-day staff time. When that staff could be actually doing other work in the community, that's probably more important. So again, tempering expectations, but is there other methods that we can implement to conduct the work and help reduce the burden on municipal, the tax base?
So, Council, it sounds like that, I don't disagree with much that's been said. It's for a municipality to have to operate 9 boat launches, a small municipality such as ours, it's a burden. And either we're not doing a very good job or we're not allocating enough money. But it comes, for some, the boat launches are pure recreation. It's an access to recreation. For some, it's a business necessity to have those boat launches because they're in the recreation business, but it is a business necessity. I think we need to, perhaps the direction to staff is, and Councillor Costco's idea, or some of the other ideas that have come up, I think we would ask staff, I think to meet with the representatives of the Tourist Association. Now, we do have a tour, is that right? We have a tourist association that we can work with. Don't we meet with them and go through things, go through the costs, go through the expectations. Is there an appetite? It's not the first time at the council table. This several years ago, and it was in more casual discussions, just the idea of let's contract out the boat launches. Which would be somebody who on a contract would have to have a business case that they met expectations and had a little bit of money left over. So that would be, I mean, and what is the cost to do that? the other thing that goes through my mind when I think about pure recreation is recreation is something that the municipality already subsidized. We subsidize recreation center to a significant degree. It's sort of, so it's one of, we have user fees for various things. But for some people, you know, using a boat is and getting a boat into the water is recreation. So what's the appetite for the municipality to subsidize recreation in that form? I'm not asking, it's a rhetorical question. But I think what council and staff, what you might be hearing from council is an appetite to look at something other than what's being presented as the motions, which the first one might be Councillor Costco's idea. There's been some other ideas here, but we need to bridge also this. I take it we would need to bridge some of this year because those solutions are going to take a season to develop. Sorry, okay, I think it was first Councillor Timpson, then Van Beer, then Councillor Costco.
I still maintain that fishing is a good thing that you look at, and contrary to what you're asserting, Councillor Cassidy, not everybody has a $50,000 boat. Lots of people out there are little 12, 14-foot lunge with a 15 horsepower motor, and that's what they fish out of. And some people even go to the boat launches to launch their kayak or canoe. So it's not that everybody has accepted the fact that you buy a big horsepower yacht. It's not that they're accepting that. The reality is that people in this town fish. And not everybody has these expensive boats. And not everybody has a place in the lake that they can put their boat in. So the boat launches are for everybody, not just the rich. And that's why I think $25 is just too much.
I agree.
My question is just like, would there be any NOHFC funding available to maybe get the lower tier boat launches back up? 'Cause I'm just thinking of reading the NOHFC's recent tweets and like what they give out money for, and they have done a few like funding for recreational activities, upgrading some stuff, making things look nice, making the tourism more operational. So I think maybe it is worth a shot, maybe just to take these like lower tier quote unquote, ones west of Hudson, the ones are, on the Butterfly Lake Road, maybe, hey, like, can we get some funding out of that? Maybe 50,000 from the province to get those up and running, and just that would allow them to kind of go downhill and degrade more and more and more.
I was just going to clarify that we're hoping that if we can come to some kind of agreement with the Tourist Outfitters Association, that it would be before the 2025.
And when will that be?
Hopefully soon.
CIO, can I ask you to interpret the direction that we're going in?
Two minutes blankly. So just a couple of comments. Certainly I'm hearing that council would like staff to consult with the Tourism Association regarding the future operation of the boat launches, what that may look like, to crunch numbers, to look at what the needs are, to prioritize the needs, and so on and so forth. So that's great. We definitely hear that. We are hearing that council is not supportive of the fee increases. I will circle back to that and ask that council consider some type of fee increase for this year. If not what staff is proposing, then something. We really do need to generate additional revenue, and it's if council doesn't want this to be a user pay system like some of our services are, that's fine. That's absolutely council's decision. But we do need some additional revenue. So we appreciate. Last time the fees were increased, they were increased from $5 to $7. That didn't really get us what we needed. A nominal increase of 2% or 1% isn't going to get us what we need. Also, I think
I'm suggesting 5%, but apparently that's still in the nominal range, is it?
So to your I think it's also important that council, I respectfully ask council to bear in mind that council has repeatedly asked staff to come forward with opportunities for other opportunities to raise revenues other than through taxation. This is another example of that, and you're not overly supportive. So I just putting that out there, respectfully. Finally, we will need a decision on, and I would urge council to agree to the elimination of the weekly passes and just go to daily or annually. The weekly ones are causing a great deal of concern with respect to how the system is going to work now. And so that's really important. If you choose to keep weekly, that won't be available online. That will have to be done through the sale of passes and sticking on windows and falling off windows, and all the complaints that we've heard in the past about those passes will continue again this year if we're required to continue to sell the weekly ones. So we would ask for direction on that. And that's where I volley it back to you, Mayor, once.
Attempt my rant. What I suggest for this year only would be to remove the wage from the boat launches and keep all the money raised from boat launches. So you have your $35,000. Whether that can be absorbed into the rec department somehow, I'm not too sure. It's currently sitting at about $38,000 in wages. Again, you're eating up everything in wages that you're collecting. That's our revenue issue, to me, in my opinion.
So through you, once we do require them to be maintained, this has become work of the union because it has been our union staff who've maintained it all the years. We do have to bear in mind that we have collective agreements and so on and so forth. So to contract that work out may pose some problems. However, if you do want, as Councillor Lego was suggesting, that the revenues come from somewhere else, then to truly reflect that we budget. The budget has been put together based on these wages being allocated this way and these revenues helping to offset these wages. So if by absorb you mean add another $35,000 to the tax rate, then yes, we can do that. But otherwise we will not be able to absorb it.
So the only thing I agree with is the 1 day yearly.
Just a question on the 1 day. People who come to town for a week, maybe they're at Trailer Park or isn't a weekly pass convenient for them? And what are they going to have to do? 7 daily passes? Or how does?
Yes.
Could there be a rate for a different rate for 7? Instead of 7 times 20 or whatever could you have a different rate for a week? If they bought 7 at one time?
That isn't contemplated. That's not possible with respect to, again, we're really hoping that by shifting more to this online platform, that it's really going to address a lot of the complaints that we've had with respect to the store isn't open, the rec center isn't open. I don't know where to get them. I've run out of stickers and I can't get any more. We're really trying to address a lot of those concerns by moving the vast majority of the sale of boat launch tickets online. Is what we're trying to do. That way it can be 3 o'clock in the morning and you can wake up and decide you're going to go fishing at 5 and get your boat launch pass right then and there.
I think if you switch it and get rid of the weekly, more people will be buying yearly ones and you'll be generating more revenue.
So I'm just looking at items 1, 2, 3. It sounds like item 2 might, might be agreed to by council, the change to weekly and annual. The sale to be limited to those sites is the surplus, I think.
I don't think we're going to worry about surplus this year, given the increase that we proposed will not be moving forward. So I think that comes off the block.
Councillor Coffey.
I am in favor of some type of increase or to bridge us till we get to a different model. Certainly not as much as you want, but maybe half of that. There could be some type of compromise where you're getting an increase so you can bridge yourself till we get to a different model, but certainly not the level of increase.
Could you propose something to me?
Maybe that it was going from 7 to 25. Maybe it goes from 7 to 15, and maybe it was going from 50 to 150. Maybe it goes from 50 to 95.
So there's an amendment to, will consider this a friendly amendment, Ken?
Three mayor votes at this point, sorry, three mayor votes at this point, we've, as I expected we would, that's okay, we sort of butchered the motion, so I will likely ask that it be withdrawn, and I will present something, at the end of the discussion.
Very good. Councillor Cassidy, thanks.
Well, yeah, I was gonna throw out a number to haggle with out 75, but a little lower, but yeah, I don't know. That was my thought. My other thought was with the weekly pass and the conundrum, and I know a lot of our tourist outfitters sell packages for the week too. Is there an annual membership that we could look to sell to the tourist outfitters that they could allocate to their guests as they go? So if they buy 15 annual passes for tourist outfitters, for the tourist outfitters, they can give those to their guests as well. And maybe that's a bulk deal, maybe the price is a little more, but that gets included in their package. And then that's saves them that.
A few notes, yeah. So I definitely hear that, and reading the room as I'm trying to from back here, I am definitely seeing that there's some concerns with eliminating the weekly pass from the tourist outfitters. Oh yeah, I'm seeing lots of shaking heads there. So perhaps there's an opportunity to eliminate the weekly pass to the general public, but that we come up with some type of model that perhaps in part of this discussion with the outfitters that's going to work for them for this season. That some type of arrangement with respect to daily, weekly, some type of price, a price that will not impact any more significantly than whatever the percent of an increase that council is going to approve tonight. Certainly it wouldn't be staff's wish or desire to add additional fees to the outfitters or to their visitors, especially this late, given that I'm sure a lot of seasonal bookings are already done and they're all ready for the season. So there may be a way, I think, to provide weekly pass. Essentially, it would be an operator's weekly pass, and we would work with them and come up with some type of solution that's fair and reasonable.
Is the concern that I noticed that you said it can only be tied to one vehicle, so the license plate is registered against that pass, is that not correct? So you would have to almost have like an edit feature where the tourist outfitter would jump in and edit that to the person's license plate that they're giving it to. Or even if someone, like for myself, we own 2 trucks and maybe one of our trucks is broken, so we would be forced to use the other truck, and if our pass is to that truck, do we have to go buy another pass for the other truck?
Sorry, I guess my thought is if it's an annual pass, it goes to the outfitter. That passes, it's an annual, it's there, but it's registered to that tourist outfitter, and maybe there's a different placard or something that's displayed on the vehicle that identifies that, so people doing it know that that one is transferable.
And maybe the direction, instead of getting it right down to the detail, the direction of staff is to work with the outfitters on this concept to work out the details that is going to work both ways. Councillor Vega, then Councillor Brenda.
Question for the treasurer. When we were discussing during the budget for mat tax, did we use up all the mat tax?
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Van Breda.
So can we also add to the motion to look at NOHFC funding? Would that be possible? So just look at outside funding.
We can certainly look at that, but again, just a reminder to council that any type of funding that we apply for is going to require a municipal contribution. So if there's a desire to, and forgive me, I may be mistaken, but the general flavor that I've been getting from council from the last few budget meetings is not to increase the budget further, but to try to bring that tax rate down. So if there is a desire to apply for additional funding before the budget is passed, that will mean a further increase to the budget. So I just want to make sure that council's aware of that before I ask staff to take their time to look for funding opportunities.
I think that might be part of the discussion with the tourist outfitters or contractor, whoever it is, that over the summer, look at NOHFC and some other contribution to that to get the grant, if there are grants available. But
Yeah.
I don't think it should be, I think keep that in the headlights, but it shouldn't be tied to this, in my opinion. Councillor Constant.
I just want to make sure that the discussion with the tourist outfitters also includes the hospitality tax, which would go to them. It would be a separate hospitality tax from the existing hospitality tax that we have now. And it would be negotiated with them.
Senior Lawrence, yeah, so I think, just in the interest of timelines, I think we'll probably have a number of meetings with tourist outfitters. I think the first one will be to kind of figure out what's gonna work for the boat launch passes, and we'll deal with that first, because that's sort of the immediate thing. We have opening weekend coming up in a few weeks, so we want to make sure that everything is clean and settled and ready for them for that weekend. So we'll focus that first, but then absolutely, yes. I think it's important that essentially all options are on the table, and it's an open dialogue in that respect.
Okay, so do you need a half an hour to get the resolution ready?
If the council wishes to take a brief health break after 2 hours of meeting,
I'll have Councillor Cassidy first, thanks.
I was just gonna say, I looked at 75 and the daily maybe 15, just because looking at the last couple of years' revenue, if we increase the cost by 50%, that would cover the deficit and probably leave a little meat on the bone for any work. So that was my look at it, but if staff has other thoughts, or if there's other things that you guys are planning for, that was where that number came from.
75 and 15. Good.
yeah, I will leave a moment though, because I am going to have to revise.
We'll have a 10-minute health break, is that?
Yeah.
right, so you're ready to provide a motion to us for movement and seconding. And once we've moved and seconded a motion, is there a representative here from the Tourist Association, or are there people who want to speak?
Well, there's camp owners here, but we can't speak on behalf of the organization.
Okay, so when you speak, you'll be speaking for yourself as a single camp owner. Okay, that's fine. So I'll come to the audience after it's on the table, when we have a seconder for the motion. I'll come to the audience and ask for, if anybody wants to step forward and speak to it. Same thing as the public meeting, come forward, state your name and off you go. And, if you can try not to repeat, if agree with somebody, just say, I completely agree with the person before, or introduce new things. That's great. So, CAO, the motion.
So just, before I get there, so thank you to you, Maryland. Just before I get to the motion, so based on council's discussion so far, we will still include the bylaw. Obviously, the daily and season rates will change from 25 to 15 and from 150 to 75. Just so that you know that we're not passing the bylaw as it is, but with those changes. So the motion would read, the draft motion for council's consideration would read that council directs staff to consult with the Tourism Association regarding the operation of boat launches. And further, that council directs staff to work with the Tourism Association to find a reasonable solution for weekly passes for 2024. And that council authorizes the passing of bylaw number 39/24.
A mover. Councilor Costello, second by Councilor Timpson. And just before I go to the public, do we have to withdraw the other motion, or that was on the table?
Sorry, yes, if the mover agrees to withdraw the motion, that was Councilor Lego.
Okay, so the
Motion is withdrawn. And just one other thing, what we will do is, after the consultation with tourist outfitters with respect to the weekly passes and a fee for that, what we'll do is we'll bring back a further revision to the original bylaw to sort of state what the weekly pass will be for tourist outfitters. When we'll likely bring that on the April 29th special council meeting, just so that it's all in place before May 1st.
So we, public, anybody that wishes to speak to this issue? Keep in mind, the really smart people on this issue are you. The next smartest people are our staff, and council is just here to.
Thank you. Corey Strading, Abram Lake Park. So I want to take the opportunity to thank Meredith. I know she's working really hard. She has the same background, so we appreciate her doing the job she's doing. To bring forth a few things, as Abram Lake Park is working with the association, the Tourist Association, we are trying to collaborate a group together. We are asking council to give us some more time to be able to sit down with you as a group, but we just need the time to be able to get ourselves together first. This group has been out of the loop for several years. So for us to be able to bring everybody back into it together we do need some time. As a camp owner, I can assure you, daily passes, I think I might sell maybe 5 throughout a whole season. Weekly passes, I can tell you I sell over 200 or more a season. Yearly passes, I'm probably looking at about 20 to 25 a season. So for you to eliminate weekly, obviously that will not work for our business. I did speak with Nicole, representing Moosehorn, and they've also she asked me if I could mention to you guys that packages have already been distributed to their guests. So a drastic increase, that means the camp has to eat that because they've already promised their guests that price. We were hoping that the launches would have been taken a little bit more seriously through the winter, not right now, because we are walking into our busy season. We are a few weeks away from opener, and to now have, you know, a debate on an increase of parking passes, like the launch passes, the camps weren't prepared for this. I guess a few camps have been sending letters periodically through years of issues that have been brought up with the boat launches, safety factors, things like that. And it seems like they've fallen on deaf ears. Now, I know we issued a letter from Abram Lake Park on behalf of our business from our guests. It didn't come from us. It was stuff that guests collaborated and talked to us about throughout the season in 2023. And we had a lot of complaints. We are the front runners. We are the ones that no matter what happens at those boat launches, we are the first people that they go to complain to. They're not going to complain to the town. They're not going to complain to the rec center. We are the ones that they come to complain. Those complaints we take seriously. We're selling these boat launch passes for you. Okay? We don't get any money from it. For me, my understanding was we were allowed one pass on our vehicle that we could use the boat launches free of charge for selling them. I can tell you, I would rather take that money and put it back into that system than me using a pass that I can't use. I'm a tourist operator. I don't get to fish in the summertime. I don't get to use a boat launch in the summertime. So for me, that's a huge waste of money. So if you're offering that to each and every camp, I would relook at that and think of maybe recouping that money. As a camp owner, we're not going to be using those launches as much as you think we are. A lot of our tourists for Abram Lake Park, they don't fish Abram Lake. They fish all around. They fish Bots, they fish Lac Seul, they fish Vermilion. They're using those boat launches. When we have guests coming to us saying, you know what, we had to bring a chainsaw with us this year to cut trees for us to be able to use the boat launches. Or we had to fill the back of our truck with garbage because the garbages were full or there wasn't even one available. So these are some concerns that are being brought up. Lighting is another issue that we noticed has been addressed. Keep in mind, a lot of the people who are coming up here, whether it be from the States, Southern Ontario, BC, whatever, they are also aging. And the safety factors at the launches are putting them at risk. So we were asking the town, you know, it doesn't have to be every single boat launch this year. Work with the Tourism Association on collaborating a plan to maybe tackle one a year. Even that would show our guests that you guys are serious about, one, safety, two, the usage of them. And then when we approach them with an increase, they may not be so reluctant to say, forget it, we're done, we're not coming back. We're looking at it from a business standpoint as, yes, boat launch passes are a huge selling feature for our guests to be able to purchase them from the camp. They don't want to go to town. They show up on a Saturday. They don't want to wait till a Monday. Some of them will not use online bookings for passes because some of them don't even have email. As much as I've tried to get some of them on board with it, it's a fight I'm never going to win. If they don't want to use it, they're not going to. So we need to look at it as a perspective of all ages, some that are equipped and savvy with tech, and some who are very much not. And those ones who are not, we have to take into consideration. They are not going to come on a Saturday and wait for a Monday to be able to go and buy a pass. So I'm asking council to just try your best to work with the association and give us some time to be able to work with you to come up with a better solution. You know, we are willing and able to help when we can. Volunteer time, I'm sure some of us wouldn't mind, you know, looking at avenues that way. There's a high school with perfectly healthy, good students who are always interested in learning some form of building. So maybe getting them involved, helping to maintain docks. That would be a great opportunity for them to learn. You have an environment, I'm sure the high school has environmental programs, stuff like that. They could be looking at what would be useful at a boat launch that's not only good for the aquatic species, but everything else within the area. We have other avenues. Please, let's look at them before we start trying to force tax upon tax, because the camps can't sustain it. A majority of them are seasonal. So when you ask us to keep adding tax, our guests are going to stop coming. You're going to shut us down. So we have to work together to come up with a better solution. So we're just asking if the council can please find a solution to find us some time to work with you. Thank you.
very much. And wonderful, thank you. That was very informative. Is there somebody else? In general, delegations don't ask questions. They present information, just, you know.
So my name is Sonia Nutt. I am the part owner of Nuts Country Cabins. My question was in the agenda, it was mentioned that only the boat pass launches were going to be sold either at the town or at the rec center. Is that still into play, or are the tourist operators going to have like a little bit of a leeway in that we could sell it to our customers and then?
CEO, turn the team.
So the idea was that for convenience and to avoid the issues that we have heard in the past from the outfitters, that the outfitters would use the online platform, and then they can print them whenever they want. 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then that way you can print exactly what you need when you need it.
For our customers.
Yes.
And so it won't be like a sticker anymore. It's just like a piece of paper that you hang up.
Yes, so perhaps just a little more explanation on that for the benefit of the public. So the way it works is it's connected to our OPSCOM program, which is our parking enforcement tool. And so it enables essentially then the license plate is associated with the sticker. And that's how we're able to confirm whether or not the car that's parked there is valid to be parked there, that it has a sticker. So, or that it has a pass, pardon me, so that it negates the need for stickers on the windows and that type of thing.
That's pretty much all of my questions that I had. Corey pretty much answered everything else.
Anybody else? All right, so CEO, I'm gonna have to give it back to you to sort of figure out where we're going here. We've heard some pretty good information there.
So I think
just before I do, I just want to just address it, and we undergo staff changes as well, and just like everybody else, HR conditions. So if it seems late in the year to be bringing this, it's don't blame current staff, or don't. It's just somehow that's just how things work out. Yeah.
Thank you. So with respect to the comments that we've received from the tourist outfitters, I think the motion still can stand because we're still prepared to have a conversation about the weekly passes with them between now and the end of April, so that we can find a solution to that. The fees, of course, would increase for the public at large who aren't purchasing weekly passes, because they won't be available to the general public, only to the outfitters if when we come to an agreement on that. So I think the bylaw as it stands, or the motion as it stands, still works, given the direction to consult with government.
Sorry, just regarding the pricing, is that something that'll be part of the discussions with the outfitters, also considering what we heard today? Okay.
Yes, with respect to the weekly passes, yes. So
what about the annual and daily?
Well, based on the information we received this evening, it sounds like they are extraordinarily low in terms of the number of sales. I don't know if that's included in the packages. That's something that we will explore, because I don't know if I'm not sure if the tourist outfitters give their customers an option to purchase a daily, a weekly, or an annual. So it looks like that is the case. So a council will need to give staff further direction, and because the outfitters are saying that they cannot absorb these increases in the daily and annual this year. So
can we say that the rate increases that we've put out there are applied to the public, and that we give staff latitude to work with the outfitters on an arrangement that works for this year?
For all types for daily, weekly, and annual.
Was it the outfitters? The tour
Yeah,
company?
just for the outfitters, yes, very good.
Anything further? So whenever everybody leaves here, if everybody's equally unhappy, then we've achieved something reasonable for tonight. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, everybody. And that equally unhappy include staff, council, tourist operators, public out there. That's just the way it works. That's very good. I think that brings us to an end of the any items requiring separate discussion.
That's correct, no news.
We're just into some boring bylaws to formalize the meeting, outfitters. It's up to you if you would like to leave. I'll give you a moment. There's really nothing exciting is going to happen from here on in. Discussion is over. Thank you.
Exactly.
The way.
Please. So all the bylaws are being presented to council for consideration, 3 readings and passing. Bylaw number 12-24, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 85-18, being a comprehensive zoning bylaw for the corporation of municipality of Sioux as amended. Bylaw number 14-24, being a bylaw to rescind bylaw number 80-23, approving the August 2023 version of the Sioux Community Improvement Plan and approve the March 2024 version of the Sioux Community Improvement Plan, create the Community Improvement Plan Application Review Committee, and establish terms of reference for the committee. So council did discuss and we all thought we passed that last month. We passed the motion to authorize the passing, but we didn't actually give 3 readings to the bylaw. So that's why it's on tonight. Bylaw number 38-14 being the bylaw to authorize the mayor and the clerk to execute an agreement between the corporation of the municipality of Sioux and Deloitte for the tourism diversification infrastructure enhancement study. Bylaw number 39-24 being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 28-05 being a bylaw respecting the use of municipal access points. That's the boat launch bylaw. Bylaw number 33-24 respecting zoning bylaw amendment application number Z01-2024. The Moser family at 395 Sturgeon River Road. Bylaw number 36-24 to adopt official plan amendment OPO 1-2024 and that one. Then we also had bylaw number 34-24 to adopt zoning bylaw amendment relating to application number Z04-2024. So both of those, the OP and the zoning bylaw there related to 5 and 7 Carl Baum Drive, the food bank development. And finally, bylaw number 35-24 to adopt zoning bylaw application amendment number Z05-2024, the Dell family at 60 Desson.
And the bylaws numbers 12-24, 14-24, 38-24, 39-24, and
33-24, 34-24, 35-24, and 36-24.
be read a first, second, and third time and passed. Moved by Councilor Costco, seconded by Councilor Cassidy. All in favor? Carried. No motions to reconsider, side resolutions, Councilor reports. Councilor Costco.
This month, the end of April or March and the beginning of April, I curled in this Liftman curling bonspiel with 2 other members of the TRC. We had a lot of fun. We didn't win, but it was a great time. And it was great to meet different people. I had a meeting we had our check-in with the mayor, which went very well. I attended the March 25th TRC meeting. And I also attended the special council meeting on March 25th. I attended the committee of adjustment on April 2nd. I missed the April 20 or the April 15th TRC meeting, which was just on Monday. I was working out of town, but I made the commitment to make the lunches and provide food. So I did provide food for that meeting as well. I attended the grand opening of Red Apple. And I also attended the newcomers event that was held at the curling rink, which was a huge success. It was a fantastic, really fun night. It was great to meet people and see why they came to Sioux Lookout, see what their concerns were. It was very a wonderful event. Now, I would also like to just acknowledge the volunteers that I've seen around town cleaning up, several seniors. So they've been out and about picking up garbage, and you see the garbage bags all along the highway and all over town, which is fantastic work. And I'd like to acknowledge the Public Works Department as well, who have been out, cleaning our streets, grading, doing the back alleys and etc. I know people are a little bit impatient that they want anything done right now, but you do see them out there looking. So they're out there doing their best, and hopefully they're gonna catch up soon. Yeah, it's snowing.
They're putting more sand on the streets to sweep up.
I'd also like to, if people from the public are listening, to encourage people to use the assistant portal. If people are like, is there a pothole, hotline? But we do have on our website an assistant portal. So you just have to jump in and put your concerns in there, and the staff do read it every day and respond to you quickly.
Thank you. Councillor Tips.
I'm sorry, fairly busy this month. Been in the resource utilization committee of the hospital, as well as a hospital board meeting. And I did readings for 3 different local physicians to make a Sioux Lookout, and then was really happy to report that some of them look very promising as folks that might stay here. Attended the Denard District Municipal Association meeting. And the association has committed to take on advocacy. They've recently the economic development officer of the Nation Council, Nation Municipality, to initiate those projects. And I'm hoping tomorrow I'll find out about a more project success rate, where they're going with that. Library board, we're looking for a replacement for a temporary replacement for the CEO who is going on maternity leave. And hoping that something will be settled on that matter. I attended two presentations from the food bank folks. That they've been going around to various organizations, and I've been able to access 2 of those presentations on the food bank. Very interesting initiative that they're into. I gave greetings to the multicultural feast at St. Andrews. That was really successful, given that we had a blizzard that night, and it was during the week, Easter week. I think we had about 60 people there, and just such a variety of wonderful foods. It was unreal. Yes. Met with the citizens group interested in long-term care strategy. We try to have some sorts of knowledge of what other organizations are doing in terms of the long-term care strategy, and hopefully that will move forward at some point. I attended the Red Apple opening, and that was really very impressive. The number of people, how people have missed Red Apple was really surprising. And then I went down to the same day, went down to Ignace for the Nuclear Waste Management Organization Open House Expo. That was very, very, very interesting. And they had groups there that were in opposition to the nuclear waste being positive in the Ignace area. And they even had a debate the next day between the people against it and the people in favor of it, which unfortunately I couldn't go to on Saturday, but I think that was to their credit that they were willing to put opinions out there. And then I also attended the welcome event at the golf course, and that was really quite fun. And that was my lunch.
Okay. Councilor Van Breda.
Thank you so much. On Friday, March 22nd, I did a presentation for Nicole Carbone's grade 12 class, and I think it was called Citizen World Change at the high school. It's about on local politics and how it works here at the town hall. Also, next week I did a game with 10 cups and 15 coins. I asked the students like how they would fund different aspects, and I would say, okay, like let's say, for example, I'm a premier and I had to take away some funding, kind of like what, like in their opinion, like what should get cut, what things should get funded more than others. I thought it was good to kind of have their sort of viewpoint in the back of my head. Attended the Slipknot Current Bond Spiel later that weekend. And then I attended the TRC meeting on Monday, March 25th, and also this following Monday on April 15th. And on the next council meeting, we'll have up to vote the, I'm going off topic, our annual work plan, which also does include garden and other public spaces. That should have also fits through the meeting, so it ties into 7.1 of the staff report as well. I met with Mayor Lawrence on the 26th. I feel we had a good meeting, ran for over an hour. We had a good time. Attended the community potluck on the 27th. And then that weekend, I did a tour of the Hudson Fire Hall with my dad, with Chief Jeremy Funk. That went really well. My dad talks about it even now still, so I should you left a good impression on him. Attended the opening of the Red Apple, and that also went really well. It's nice to see that parking lot full again. And then later that day, me and Councilor Timpson went to Ignace for the NWMO Expo. I think that went really well too. It was really well attended. It's nice that we had both sides of the debate present in the arena as well. Be able to talk with both. Definitely, I would say that I learned a lot. I would say that night, that weekend, I watched Oppenheimer. I couldn't finish it. It was 3 hours long, and after the bomb dropped, I just thought, okay, it must be over now. And there's still an hour left in the movie, and I just turned it off. I did an interview with the Kenora Minor News regarding the launch of care beds. Hopefully that will be out next week. And I would say congrats to Jennifer, who is on CBC, talking about, oh, she's not there, sorry.
Yeah.
Talking about the Hillcrest Health Hub, and she did a really good job on that. I listened to it on my way to work. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Cassidy.
Yeah, for myself, it's been a whirlwind for the last little bit here between travel and work travel, illness, and other engagements. But I do have hydro board. I had hydro board and have another one scheduled for tomorrow. Had my meeting with Mayor Lawrence as well, which went good, and attended a couple PACE meetings as well. So I wasn't able to make the openings there at Apple. I thought what they did a very nice job, worth the wait. It's good to see, and it's nice to be able to go back to the PACE board and provide the updates. There's so much going on in our community, so it's really good to see. So,
Councilor Lego.
Had my meeting with Mayor and went well. I missed the special council meeting. I had a prior engagement talking to the Young Entrepreneur Club in Sioux, so did that. And I attended the LCC meeting, and basically same things going on. They're getting ready. They just started their 10-year forest management plan April 1st, so there's no more planning to do for a while. And looks like Laxo Forest is going to do a big renewal, seeding and planting 24-25. And besides that, just busy.
Right, thanks, Councilor Lego. KDSB, the usual activities, the board meeting was actually board meetings tomorrow, but board meeting is always the day after council, so those. And committee meeting today, governance committee. And thank you all for taking time out to meet with me. That was, I'm glad they all said something positive. It wasn't a check-in. It wasn't like the principal calling you in. It was just, thank you. Special council meeting, been working with, a group on a refugee issue, trying to get, help, them get some movement on, a family that's coming to town, or they hope. Northwestern Health Unit, board meetings, committee meetings, and the merger committee, which if you pay attention to the news, you probably hear something coming out in the next day or two. I'm not sure if there's information that's embargoed. That I think it might be over now, but I won't say any more than just watch the news and you'll see the results of the merger committee between Thunder Bay and the Northwestern Health Unit. More Health Task Force meeting. We haven't met for months, but there was a meeting let's try it last week. Regular meetings with Eric Malillo, and among the things is the refugee family was one of the things we talked about, and he and his office trying to help with that, and I've got another MP trying to work on it as well. OPP with the revision in the police services board, which is we're in a transition period where the province is really what would be the word, disbanded all police boards, service boards, and they have to come back as detachment boards. So that was as of March 31st, but of course, through no fault of ours, everything's not quite in place, but we're getting there to establish the detachment board, and there's training involved in it, online training that I did. Discussions with Chief Bull on various topics. Red Apple. Went to the Red Apple and the opening, which is great to see. Ontario Health Team, half a day today in Dryden, all day yesterday. The Ontario Health Team, the Kuwait Nomi Health Team is, we had sort of a transformative meeting about a month ago, and today was today and yesterday. Probably going to have we realized that this is the Ontario Health Team we're going to have to work with. And we're going to go to a bit of a hub model within it. The sort of a mothership is the health team, and Dryden, Red Lake, Sioux, and then there's the north. So all within the one health team. But we are, as we say, the leftovers of all the health of the communities in Ontario. We're sort of in this no man's land. We're put together, and we've got to make something of it. Meetings with the CIO on various topics, emergency management control group meeting that Chief Funk put together. That was last Friday, I think. That went well. And I want to thank Councillor Timpson for standing in for me at the multicultural dinner. I would rather have been there myself or with you there, but I couldn't be in attendance. Thank you for that. And you're going to fill in as well at the tourism and the Salvation Army tomorrow. Dryden for KDSB board meeting tomorrow. LTC is interesting. On one of the things, when you drive, you get to listen to the radio a bit more, and the CBC, their call-in show today was about long-term care. Very interesting how many people were calling in about, similar but different, but same issues that we have. And really, they were discussing how far people had to go and that imposition. And I think there's been some resignations in various places, not imposing that because they weren't going to impose the new rules on people. And some senior people resigned, but other places in Southern Ontario talking about some of the issues we have with our seniors having to move. I was listening, hoping that I thought about dying myself, but I was driving. Very good. That's the month. And that brings us to the end of our meeting. Thank you very much. Good meeting. Bylaw number 40-24, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of municipal Silico April 17th regular council meeting be read first, second, and third time advanced. Moved by Councillor Timpson, seconded by Councillor Lego. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Troublesome snow. And you later. Is it down?